Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Just trying to validate whether the YouTube streaming is coming through. Here it shows it's coming through, but now on my side, just revalidate. Okay, it's showing. Interesting. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती राधा नामने नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष वाली पाश्चात्य मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। हरि ओम। Hare Krishna. So again, my sincere apologies. Yeah, I have on my side failed to be a bit regular over the last couple of weeks. The last weekend I was in a spiritual retreat. Had the fortune to meet Indulekha Saki Mataji there. So that was one of the wonderful things. And of course, so many other wonderful devotees there who had come, both the speakers and the devotees alike. So we are back. We will try to follow the schedule, at least on a Saturday for now. And we'll discuss a little bit on the schedule towards the end of the class, maybe when some of the others, if they're going to join. Today is auspicious day of Pandava Nirjal Ekadashi. So, blessed Ekadashi, we are always fortunate when we get the opportunity to discuss Harikatha on Ekadashi. That is a special blessing, which means it's a special bonus for us. Without so much additional effort, we are getting this very special benefit. Anyway, the whole purpose of Ekadashi is not just about fasting, but it is about fasting from sense enjoyment so that more time and energy can be devoted to devotional activities. More hearing, more chanting, more devotional service in whatever means possible. So it's good that we also have this today. I spend morning a couple of hours, at least an hour plus, uh, on studying this chapter so that I can serve you all. It's a very wonderful series of chapters. We are discussing the 8th canto. Today we will be discussing the 4th chapter of the 8th canto. So, chapter 2, 3, and 4 of the 8th canto, across these 3 chapters, the Gajendra Moksha pastime spans 3 chapters. The first canto, the 8th canto, first chapter is more or less like an introduction to the canto, introduction to the whole concept of Manvantara, which is the theme of the whole canto, the various 6 types of administrators in every Manvantara, with the names of various personalities across various Manvantaras, some of the prominent Manvantara avatars being summarized, like Yajna, like Vamana, like Hari, about whom we are discussing. Anyone remembers which Manvantara this Gajendra Moksha pastime happened? Anyone? No? So it was the Tamasa Manvantara. And we are in the Vaivasvata Manvantara. So that was a broad introduction to the topic of Manvantaras. And this whole canto is a wonderful sprinkling of the pastimes of various Manvantar incarnations across various Manvantaras. Because Shukadev Goswami becomes very eager. Please tell me. You have spoken about creation. You have spoken about these categories of avatars. Can you tell me a bit more about this whole Manvantara thing and what are the various forms of the Lord who appear? So not only the pastimes of Gajendra Moksha, also the pastimes of Samudra Manthan are here. Samudra Manthan is such a wonderful pastime. One of those pastimes just rich with so many lessons. And one of those pastimes where multiple incarnations of the Lord are involved. Lord Vishnu himself, Lord Vishnu's incarnation in the form of Ajita, Lord Vishnu's incarnation in the form of Kurma, Lord Vishnu's incarnation, Guna Avatar as Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu's incarnation as Mohini, Lord Vishnu's incarnation as Dhanvantari. Wow, I've already named 6 incarnations in this one pastime itself. So very interesting. So that will come as well. So many beautiful discussions which are across various Manvantara periods. So we are at the 4th chapter, and this particular chapter is entitled that Gajendra returns to the spiritual world. If you remember, when we concluded chapter 3 of the 8th canto, chapter 3 concluded with Lord Hari. Gajendra was in so much distress, 1000 years of tussle. Finally, realizing the futility of material existence, he was not just that he wanted to be free from the crocodile anymore. That intense struggle and the helplessness of the situation that he was put into, that nobody can help me. That really became an eye-opener for him. Not eye-opener just in a material sense, but a spiritual eye-opener for him. So that is the value of dangerous situations. That's why sometimes for more rapid development or evolution of devotees, sometimes Krishna will put us to what may seem as very difficult situations. there isn't a better teacher than suffering. Sadly. Sadly, that is true. Of course, it wasn't a quick lesson for Gajendra. 1000 celestial years of a tussle with a crocodile holding onto your leg in the middle of the water. Is that an experience any of us will want to go through? That's what Gajendra, that's what it took for Gajendra to come to that culmination point. Had he come to that culmination point earlier, the Lord would have appeared earlier. But finally, he came to that culmination point where he realized, because he was a devotee in his past life, that recollection of prayers that he had by-hearted in his previous lifetime spontaneously emanated from his mouth. And heartfelt, not just by-hearted, not just play button, just reciting by-hearted. No, heartfelt prayers. And this is admittedly not something which elephants can normally do. Okay, so this is definitely not a normal situation. So this memory, Srila Prabhupada explains, and even the Bhagavatam itself is because Lord Hari allowed him to remember his prayers because of his past devotional service. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishtaha mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am situated in the heart of every living entity, and from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Matta smriti jnanam apohanam. And Krishna has also said in the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter that when a devotee fails to complete his devotional service next lifetime, he becomes, I give him the impetus from inside to continue his journey. So this particular chapter is not just about how Gajendra achieved perfection, but it is also a flashback. It is the flashback of Gajendra's past life, which helps us better understand and appreciate why he went through what he went through and why this special blessing for an elephant. Normally we wouldn't expect, please do not expect, oh my pet dog or my pet cat, if they are held by a crocodile, suddenly prayers will erupt from their mouth and Lord Vishnu will appear. So this was a very exceptional situation. It's a very extraordinary situation. Because it's an extraordinary personality. And that is what we will be discussing. That is one of the key topics. Not just about Gajendra, but also the past life of the crocodile. Because both of these are very interesting personalities. Who came into this situation because of very specific mistakes that they made in their past life. So the topic of the discussion in this chapter broadly is the deliverance or going back to Godhead of Gajendra, also the deliverance of the crocodile, what both of their past lifetimes were, and how the Lord blesses them, and the blessings of hearing and discussing the Gajendra Moksha pastime. That is the concluding part of this particular chapter. Very beautiful. So Gajendra, after 1000 years, when he comes to that exclusive point of taking shelter of the Lord. Actually, I've heard this so many times from my spiritual master, Radhanath Maharaj. The Lord puts us into miseries. He doesn't like to put his devotees into misery, but he puts his devotees into misery to prod them to take deeper and deeper shelter of him. And sometimes miseries drag on because we don't take shelter of him. And we wonder why suffering is not, because we are not. The Lord is prodding us, Hare Baba, take shelter, go deeper into the holy name, go deeper into the Bhagavad. But we fail to take cues. So Krishna increases the dosage of the medicine. Increases the dosage. Until we finally say, enough, I can't take it anymore. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Surrender. She says, yes, this is what I was waiting for. So some of us may take days, months, sometimes years to reach that point. Can you imagine for Gajendra how long it took? 1000 celestial years. So if any one of you is thinking, oh, I wish I was into Gajendra's situation, so easy. Crocodile comes, I offer a flower, I get liberated, I go back home, back to God. Oh, wonderful. Please remember what happened for 1000 celestial years before that, in the grip of the crocodile, struggling continuously in the water, trying to save himself. Can you imagine what kind of acute agony Gajendra went through? So please think before you ask this kind of blessings. Sometimes we hear the story so fast, we fail to realize the struggle. It is not so easy to surrender. It is not so easy to realize the futility of material existence. As long as we have hope in material enjoyment, we cannot helplessly take shelter of the Lord. This is the truth. Detachment from matter, attachment to Krishna. These go together. After 1000 years, when Gajendra realized, I am finished. Nobody is going to be able to help me. And in the process, as the time elapsed, not only he realized the futility, and not only did he realize that he is not going to be saved, when he realized his helpless situation, he also realized how fragile material life is. Just a few moments ago, I was the king of elephants, the best, the top of the top, enjoying life at its peak. And suddenly, from the top hero, I have become, in the most agonizing situation, I have been transformed. He realized the futility of material existence. He realized the need to take shelter of the Lord. He realized, and his prayers articulate that. His prayers show that he did not anymore want just liberation from the jaws of the crocodile. What do his prayers say? He says explicitly to the Lord in the previous chapter. I don't know whether I mentioned this in the last class, but he explicitly mentioned, Lord, now I don't just want liberation from this crocodile. I want liberation from the crocodile of time, from the jaws of the crocodile of birth and death, who's holding me and causing me to suffer. Correct? What does the crocodile represent? The jaws of time. Kal. Please, I've had enough. So when that intense call came, and that is where the previous chapter is. When the real intense call came, the Lord immediately appeared. So some people may wonder, Arey Baba, why 1000 years the Lord waited? Same thing for Draupadi, right? Of course, it didn't take that long. Draupadi was saying, Krishna, where are you? Krishna, Krishna, and so many things. But until she helplessly called out to Krishna, Krishna didn't manifest his intervention. So Krishna's intervention is a function of our sincere, surrendered calling out to him. That is one of the key lessons here. And he said, immediately the Lord appeared when he called out in that spirit. So I was giving this class to a US congregation just a few days ago. And it's a very nice congregation. They were very appreciative. We were discussing the previous chapter only. Somehow, coincidentally, we are on the same topic. Coincidentally. And they are asking, Prabhu, 1000 years he was offering prayers. I said, no. He was not offering prayers for 1000 years. He was struggling for 1000 years. Last 5 minutes he offered prayers of his 1000 years. So it's not that the intensity of the calling is what is important. That's what Prabhupada says, One name is sufficient. There's this very famous video of Prabhupada. How long does it take to achieve perfection? One moment. You're not reading Bhagavad Gita? Not reading Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham toham sarva papebhyo moksha. You can surrender in one moment. One moment. Prabhupada is so emphatic. But there is a quality. Prabhupada is mentioned in various purposes. There's a quality to that calling. If that quality is not there, Krishna is not going to be, interested to see. Oh, I'll come. I have many other things to do. Many other devotees are calling me more intensely. Your call is on waiting. Correct? Usually when we call some office, they put us on IVR and they'll start playing music and say, you are waiting. All our agents are currently busy. Something like that. Krishna will answer when we are call out helplessly. In immediate response. So the response was immediate when the call was intense. And that's what he said, the Lord immediately appeared. So many devotees forget to note this part of the story. It's not that he was caught and then he prayed for 5 minutes and then he called out and, wow, we just prayed 20 shlokas and he went back to God. It was so wonderful. Elephant, but I am still here. There's a big background to the story. There was a big struggle. So most sadhakas, if you look at their spiritual journey, it is full of lot of struggle. So please do not think that you are particularly been chosen out to be hammered by material nature by Krishna. Oftentimes we complain. Actually, our suffering is so small scale as compared to what some of these great personalities went through. Can you imagine Parikshit Maharaj, such a great soul, very thirsty, accidentally put one snake and got cursed to die in 7 days. Massive shock treatment. So anyway, the Bhagavatam is replete. What Bhishma Dev went through. What the gopis went through 100 years without Krishna. So if we analyze these pastimes very carefully, we'll realize that, and Krishna says this to the gopis actually, that I am being separated from you just to increase the intensity of your love. So it's not that Krishna enjoys putting his devotees into suffering. Krishna wants to evoke that feeling of surrender. He wants us to take shelter. He wants us to remember him with intensity, with love, with surrender, with faith. So finally, when Krishna gave him that memory to recite those prayers, and then he uttered those, and then he really called out, Lord Ajita, the son of Harimeda and Harini, who's the Manvantara avatar, immediately appeared there on the back of Garuda. And what did he do? He not only just came on the back of Garuda, he saw the situation and the Lord got down quickly, it is said, from Garuda. Took his Sudarshan Chakra, chopped off the head. First he actually pulled out Gajendra. He pulled out Gajendra together with the crocodile out of the water to get a clear sight at his target, and then he chopped off the head of the crocodile. Interesting. I'm just trying to imagine how that would have looked like. And then at that point, this chapter begins. Actually, as soon as the Lord appeared, there are some beautiful things, but we discussed those in the previous chapter. I will not go into that again. But one of those beautiful things is when the Lord appeared, Gajendra took this beautiful lotus flower and offered it to the Lord. And he said a beautiful shloka, I think. Namo Narayanaya Bhagavate Tubhyam, something like that. It's mentioned towards the conclusion of the. And that just few words and that full shelter, the Lord delivered it. So Shukadev Goswami begins this chapter. He said when Gajendra was delivered Brahma, Shiva, all the other devatas are witnessing. In fact, there were some devatas already in the sky. But when Lord Hari appeared, so many other devatas also appeared. It was a full packed gallery. Everyone was witnessing this very extraordinary pastime. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says some of the devatas were a bit embarrassed. Oh, actually, maybe we should have helped him, Why we made the Lord come here? We could have helped Gajendra. Huh? On one side, they were thinking, Gajendra didn't call us. Why should we help? But after Lord Vishnu appeared, their boss came. Said, why boss is coming? Actually, this was, well within our pay scale to fix this problem. Just a crocodile. Any of us devatas could have killed. So all these devatas, when they saw this great good fortune of Gajendra, they said, the devatas, the sages, the Gandharvas, they praised Lord Hari's activity and also started showering flowers on both the Lord and Gajendra. Jai, Jai, Jai. So extraordinary. They were beating kettle drums and the Gandharvas started singing and dancing. It's a very common scene when something extraordinary like this happens. And the Apsaras start dancing, the Gandharvas start singing and dancing and playing instruments. It's a big celebration. The inhabitants of the Charan Lok and Siddha Lok starts offering prayers. Those who are more sober, they are not into the dancing thing. They will, they become very sober. Oh, they start offering prayers. And glories to the Lord. Oh, Purushottam, you are so wonderful. You are so great. So as Shukadev Goswami describes this, then Shukadev Goswami starts narrating to Parikshit Maharaj the story behind the story. So he first starts describing about the crocodile who was just killed. He says this crocodile, Parikshit Maharaj, was actually in the previous life the king of the Gandharvas, whose name is Maharaj Huhu. What is the name? Huhu. So Maharaj Huhu, he became a crocodile because he was cursed by Devala Muni. We wonder, this king of the Gandharvas pious. Saintly Gandharvas are pious. They are Upadevatas, one level below the Devatas. Why would he be cursed? So the story goes like this. That the Gandharva Huhu once, the heavenly planets, he was playing in the water, surrounded by so many beautiful ladies. And he was playing with so many beautiful ladies in the water. And at the same time, there was one great sage whose name is Devala Rishi. You must have all heard of Devala Rishi. Krishna refers to him in the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, Arjun refers to him in the Bhagavad Gita. Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Shaiva Bravishimi. Sages like Vyasa, Asita, Devala also refer to you as the Supreme Person. So the Devala Rishi was also in the water. He was probably doing some puja, archana, doing his Gayatri in the water. So when a young boy is with young girls in a romantic, playful, lusty kind of a situation, boys like to show off to girls in front of girls. That is the nature that boys have. And the girls will laugh and they will do something and they will think, oh, I am so wonderful. So this Gandharva Huhu, being intoxicated both by his extraordinary beauty, his opulence, and to impress these girls, what did he do? He went under the water. He saw Asita sage. He said, now see how I make some fun of this. Sorry, not Asita, Devala sage. Now see how I make fun. So just to impress the girls, looks like, it's not explicitly mentioned. He went under the water quietly. He went and held the feet of Devala Rishi and pulled him and made him to fall. And all the girls are laughing, ha 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 ha. So Devala Rishi, very great sage, he realized what this, Gandharva, I am a sage, and just see what he's so proud, he's so arrogant, he has no respect for Brahmanas, he has no respect for Vaishnavas. He's both a great sage as a Brahman and also Vaishnav, is a great devotee. How is he treating and they are making fun? What kind of example is the king of the Gandharvas? Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad eva itaro jana. So to save him from further degradation, the sage cursed him. What is the curse he gave? He said, oh, you are coming under the water and you held my foot like a crocodile. You came quietly under the water and held my feet under the water like a crocodile would pull my feet. May you become a crocodile. Lose your form of Gandharva. And as usual, suddenly shocked by the curse. He fell at the feet. Oh, I'm sorry, please, please, please. Take back your curse. And says so. Because the Bhagavatam explains, and Prabhupada also says in the but the sage doesn't give curse just based on anger. Even though externally he shows anger so that the person at whom he is cursing will understand the seriousness of his mistake. It is not that he has uncontrolled senses, that's why he becomes angry, like we become angry. So the anger of great souls is also considered a blessing for the person. So he cursed him so that he becomes woken up from his proud, arrogant, impudent mentality. Because actually he's a noble soul, but Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamadam Madhapuma. The person has beauty, opulence, strength, vigor, youth. Madaha, one becomes intoxicated with pride. I'm a big hero. And they don't, and the worst situation is when one loses discrimination in terms of dealing with great souls. And this is often, the Bhagavatam is full of these kind of pastimes. How they lose sight, lose discrimination whom they are dealing with. So many pastimes. The Yamala Arjun trees, Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Similar things. Not very different. So many other stories of this. Indra, when we discussed earlier, Vritrasur, why Indra lost his eye? Because he became so proud that he disrespected his guru. He didn't rise up and he lost all his opulence. So he fell at the feet. Oh, great sage Devala, please forgive me, forgive me. So Devala Muni said, no, I can forgive. The problem is not that I don't want to forgive, but you need to learn the lesson. And it's going to be a bit hard, but better you learn this way. I'm going to fast track your progress. Otherwise, you will remain trapped in your arrogance and will not make any spiritual progress. So my curse will still stand, but I bless you that you will be delivered by the Lord himself when the Lord appears to deliver Gajendra. So very interesting. So just see how these great sages were Trikala Darshi. They knew in the future this Gajendra pastime will happen. And this is going to happen, the Lord will come, the Lord will deliver him. And then he said, okay, you fit into this pastime, you go and you will also be delivered by the Lord. This is mine. So that was the background. So Maharaj Huhu became this crocodile and was waiting to be delivered. Of course, with respect to the crocodile, nothing is mentioned that the crocodile had the memory of the past life, of being a devotee or Gandharva. Nothing like that is mentioned. He was probably just waiting to be delivered, probably not even conscious of what it is, just waiting for his time to be delivered. It is said as soon as the crocodile's head was chopped off by the Sudarshan Chakra. So purifying, right? The head being chopped off. Of course, painful way to be purified, but purifying nonetheless. directly by the Lord with the Sudarshan Chakra, immediately became freed from all his materialistic tendencies. Because anyone who is directly killed by Lord Hari becomes immediately purified. And he immediately took back his form, his effulgent form, his original form of a Gandharva, being freed from that curse. Immediately, when he came back in that form, recognizing the Lord, he started offering beautiful prayers, glorifying the Lord. He circumambulated the Lord, Pradakshina. And then, Bhagavatam says, in the presence of all the devatas headed by Brahma, he returned to his position in the Gandharva Lok. He had become free from all sinful reactions. Srila Prabhupada says, even though the verse doesn't directly say that he went back to Godhead, the crocodile I'm talking about, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that actually he was granted the blessing of becoming an associate of the Lord. Not immediately, not that he went back to Godhead immediately, but he was so purified that it appears like he became a pure devotee. I'll read out Srila Prabhupada's words, what Prabhupada says verbatim. The Gandharva had the mentality of an inhabitant of the celestial planetary system. And for him to become an associate of the Supreme Lord would have taken millions of long years. However, because he was cursed by Devala Rishi, he became a crocodile, and in only one life, he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. That's not an everyday occurrence. And not just see the Lord face to face, and be promoted to the spiritual world to become one of the Lord's associates. So from this statement, it seems that he was purified of all material contamination. Sometimes devotees are granted perfection immediately, but doesn't mean they are immediately taken to Vaikuntha. There's a difference. Prahlad Maharaj wasn't immediately taken to Vaikuntha. Even after Narsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, he told him, now you rule the kingdom. Correct? Bali Maharaj, you wanted kingdom, now you are pure devotee, I kept my lotus feet on your head, now you rule the kingdom. Dhruva Maharaj, after giving blessing, okay, now you rule the kingdom. So they were all engaged in service. They became pure devotees. They became associates in one sense because they developed full self-realization. They became purified from any small remaining traces of material contamination. But they weren't immediately, I'm here on Garuda, come sit on my back seat. Let's go. That didn't happen. In case you are familiar with some of the Braj Leela narrated, Braj Leela also who has some involvement. So I'll not go into that. That will be a deviation, which means it looks like he's still around as the king of the Gandharvas. It seems so. At least 5,000 years ago he was. Haha and Huhu, they are two brothers, Gandharvas, the leaders of the Gandharvas. Very, very expert singers, the best amongst the Gandharvas. So that was the fate of Huhu. He got purified, being killed by the Supreme Lord and taking his darshan face to face. He was cleansed. He returned to his original position, just like Nalakuvera and Manigriva. But just like they also became purified and were granted pure devotion, he was also granted, which means his final destination was guaranteed. But it wasn't an instant transfer. But for Gajendra, it was a bit different. The Bhagavatam says, the Shukadeva Goswami is explaining this to Parikshit Maharaj. Gajendra's destination was a bit different. Why? Because Gajendra was personally touched by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just touched indirectly by the Lord by Sudarshan Chakra and like that. The Lord, when he came, he pulled Gajendra out by his touch personally from the water with the crocodile hanging onto the leg. And then the Lord chopped off the head of the crocodile. He was personally, directly touched by the Supreme Lord. Oh, that is extraordinary. Even when the Lord appears, very rarely in past times you will see that the Lord is actually touching, isn't it? In Dhruv Maharaj's case, the Lord touched, but he touched through the conch. Isn't it? He touched the conch on the head. When Lord met Lord Brahma first time, when Brahma pleased the Lord by tapasya, then the Lord, it is said, he did shake hand with Brahma. Touch. But generally the Lord will appear, the devotee will fall at his feet, offer prayers, the Lord will grant some benediction and disappear. Isn't it? So many pastimes we have heard. So directly getting an opportunity to touch the Lord, oh, very extraordinary. That kind of touch, it is said, whoever the Lord touches is immediately his material body is transformed into a spiritual body. Prabhupada gives a very, very wonderful purport to this particular section of the of Bhagavatam. He says he was not only just immediately free from all ignorance and bondage, but he was immediately given Sarupya Mukti. Sarupya Mukti means that kind of liberation where one attains a form, a rupa, like the Lord, Sarupa. So it is known as Sarupya Mukti, four-handed form, like Lord Narayan's form, so that he can enter into Vaikuntha. Instantly. Same bodily features, correct? The residents of Vaikuntha have practically the same bodily features as the Lord, except for they don't have the Kaustubh Mani, they don't have the Shrivatsa mark. And they don't wear tulsi on themselves, garlands. Otherwise, if you see, if a Vishnu Duta comes to your door and rings the doorbell, very unlikely situation, but just in case, it happens. If you see, you'll think, oh, the Supreme Lord has come. You'll start falling at the feet. And this has happened in some past times. The devotees have mistaken, and Vishnu Duta says, hey, Baba, I am Das. The boss is, I'm not the boss. I'm the Das. Can you imagine? Instantly transformed into Chaturbhuj form. Elephant! All the Devatas are shocked. Wow, this is too good, man. We thought he was cursed. But just see, in a moment, with one calling out helplessly of the holy name of the Lord, he has attracted the Lord's mercy to such an extent. It took a little long, 1000 celestial years, but job done. By the transcendental touch of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has immediately achieved Sarupya. Forearmed, wearing a yellow cloth like the Lord. Wow. It is said that after he transformed into the Sarupya Mukti, while Huhu went back to become a Gandharva, the Lord told Gajendra, whom I don't want to call Gajendra anymore, because he was no longer Gajendra, he was a liberated soul now. He told him, come, hop onto my back seat. Let's go. Your time has come. He was immediately taken back home, back to God, to the spiritual world, on the back of Garuda along with the Lord. Wow. This is amazing. Generally, the Vishnu Dutas will come, they will take the devotee. Here, the Lord personally came, delivered him, touched him, saved him, and took him to Vaikuntha on the back of Garuda along with him. How did he achieve such a great good fortune? Elephant, Mudha. One of the prayers that Gajendra prays, he says, I am Mudha. I am not a great devotee. Great devotees are there and show them their mercy, but I am just a ignorant animal, dumb animal. I am an elephant. What can I do? But please be kind to me. So now Shukadeva Goswami narrates what is the background of Gajendra. So it is said, Gajendra was not just like a Devata, but he was a very, very pious and advanced Vaishnav in his previous life. He was a king on earth. He wasn't a Devata. He was a king on earth by the name of Indradyumna. Huh? Born, Prabhupada says he was a Tamil king. Born in the Pandya region. This is from Tamil Nadu. Specifically is mentioned. And in that life he was known as Maharaj Indradyumna. Very noble king, very devoted king. He was very, very devoted to worshipping the Lord, and like exemplary examples of great devotee kings. When the right time came, he gave up his kingdom, he went to the forest. He retired from family life. Went to the Malaya Hills. This Malaya Hills is part of southern India. This is not Malaysia. The Malayan Chandan. The Malaya Hills, there are some mountains in that region which are known as Malaya. I don't know whether they are still known as Malaya Hills. Probably not. I don't know. But there's a part in the Dravida country which is known as Malaya Hills. So he built a small cottage and there he would do his bhajan. He had matted locks, always was engaged in austerities. So one day he was observing Mauna Vrata and he was so wonderfully engaged. All his time was in meditation, austerities, and worshipping of the Lord. He was so engaged faithfully in worshipping the Supreme Lord that he was fully absorbed in transcendental ecstasy of love of God. And he was so absorbed in ecstasy that he became practically unaware of his surrounding situation. And at that time, it is said, the great sage Agastya Muni, who is usually accompanied by many, many disciples, just like Durvas Muni travels with many disciples, oftentimes Agastya Muni also travels with many disciples. He happened to come to the ashram of Maharaj Indradyumna. So he came there to the ashram and the sage was absorbed in ecstasy and Indradyumna was absorbed in ecstasy and Agastya Muni was waiting. Are Baba, reception, we are here, we need some assistance from you. But externally, no, it appeared as if he was neglecting him and not showing any proper reception. So it is said, Agastya Muni became angry. Again, with a desire to benefit him, it is said, Agastya Muni cursed him. He says, oh, this Indradyumna is not at all gentle. He doesn't know how to deal with great souls. He doesn't know how to serve Brahmanas properly. He has insulted a Brahmana. He is behaving like a low-born, uneducated person. So because he is behaving like a dull-headed person, may he fall down and fall down in the sense, may he attain the body of a dumb elephant. The dumb body of an elephant, not a dumb elephant. The dumb body of an elephant. So after saying like this, Agastya Muni cursed and then he went with his disciples. King Indradyumna himself, a very elevated soul, he just accepted the curse of Agastya Muni, even though actually it wasn't his fault. Just like so many other pastimes we have discussed. Sometimes it is not the fault, but one is misunderstood and one is convicted falsely and punished, and a sentence is passed. So how does a devotee react? Prabhupada says, Tattainukampam susumikshamano bhunjanamevatmakritam vipakam ridvag vapubhir vididam namaste jivetayo mukti. The devotee says, if this is happening to me, then it must be the will of the Lord. Because without the will of the Lord, how it can happen? So it must be for my good. Must be some karmas I must have done in my past life that the Lord is giving some token. So Srila Prabhupada again speaks about this aspect. And Prabhupada has often mentioned about this aspect across his various Bhaktivedanta purports, how the devotee must have this consciousness. We may not be able to understand why Krishna is putting us into this situation, why sometimes false accusations, why sometimes reversals where we think we don't deserve it. A person who's of less faith will challenge the Lord. Why? Oh Lord, I did so much for you and this is what you did to me. But those who have great faith, those who have transcendental faith, they understand. For others, they may be managed by Maya, but for devotees, the Lord is personally orchestrating. There is no mistake. There's no mistake. So if it has happened by the way. The Lord has some purpose. And the devotee will not insist, Lord, you must explain to me first. You first come and discuss with me. Why you want to do this? Let us discuss, and if I agree, then only okay. So we cannot have that kind of an approach with the Lord. The devotee is expected to unconditionally surrender to the Lord. Of course, this doesn't mean that we don't counteract what comes our way, but we don't complain to the Lord. We accept whatever comes our way and deal with it in an appropriate manner. And that appropriate means at an external level, we may try to counter it, but at an internal level, we are taking deeper and deeper shelter of the Lord, accepting it as Krishna's mercy, not complaining, and considering it that actually I deserved worse, but Krishna has given me a token of the action. And because he responded with such a wonderful consciousness that he didn't, was also pretty exalted. He could have also cursed back, he could have done various things. It's not mentioned here, but it is said when he got the elephant's body in his next life, being pleased with him because of his past life's devotional service, the Lord allowed him at the right time to have the memory of how to worship and how to offer prayers to him. That was a very special blessing. So when great devotees also fall because of apparently fall, I shouldn't use the word fall, but because of certain exceptional situations get into a degraded situation temporarily, the Lord gives them very special abilities. Like Bharat Maharaj when he became deer, and that time he had very clear memory because he was so exalted, he had gone to the Bhava level. He was all the time aware that he is King Bharat in past life. He was never forgetful. But for Indradyumna, at the right time, the Lord gave him memory. Matta smrtir jnanam apohanam. The Lord gave him memory. Could remember how to offer prayers to the Lord. So the Lord gave him the spiritual body. And in that way, the Lord delivered him from that situation, from that elephant body, and took him personally on the back of Garuda, back home, back to Godhead. It's a Sarupyam, extraordinary. There's one more thing Srila Prabhupada says in the purports, which I forgot to mention, is related to one of the earlier verses. Very important point. This whole point that Srila Prabhupada mentions, that because Lord Hari personally touched the body of Indradyumna Maharaj, of Gajendra, that he transformed into this Sarupya Mukti form. His body became spiritualized and he developed Sarupya Mukti, four-armed form. Srila Prabhupada makes a very interesting point, that the touch of the Lord is so important. And that is why Srila Prabhupada says, devotees are encouraged to perform deity worship. Because the deity form of the Lord is actually a spiritual form, it's not a material form. So when we serve the deity form and we touch the deity form of the Lord, also by the touch of the deities, we become spiritualized. Very wonderful point. Prabhupada draws this very interesting teaching of how that contact comes. And Prabhupada says that is, of course, worshipping the deity is a wonderful way to contact, but that contact is also there through hearing and chanting. But Prabhupada specifically mentions about deity worship, especially for us who are conditioned by the modes of nature, because When transcendence contacts matter, matter turns into spirit. Even the material body can get spiritualized by contact with the transcendental form of the Lord. So it's a very interesting point. So, in this way, the pastime concludes. The pastime concludes. Parikshit Maharaj tells Shukadev Goswami, I have described this beautiful power, this wonderful power of Lord Krishna who took this form of Hari to save Gajendra. Whoever hears this pastime, please hear carefully now, this is Falashruti. Whoever hears this pastime, at least all of you are hearing, at least all of you patiently came to hear till the end, up to the Falashruti. They become fit to become promoted to the higher planets. And simply by hearing this narration, simply by hearing, they become famous as devotees of the Lord. And they remain unaffected by the contamination of Kali Yuga. And they will also be protected from the contamination of bad dreams. So these 4 blessings are there. Promotion to higher realms, reputation of being a devotee, unaffected by Kali Yuga contamination, and be protected from Swapna Dosh, from the effects of bad dreams. Then there are various suggestions which Shukadev Goswami gives, and he says that it is very advisable. These prayers, which Gajendra recollected from his past life, these 15-20 verses which he recited in glorification to the Lord, in response to which the Lord appeared, they are such super excellent prayers to the Lord that is encouraged that all those who desire their welfare, as soon as they get up in the morning, especially the Dvija, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and all the more those who are Brahman Vaishnavas, they should chant this narration. That will purify them immediately and also protect them from any bad dreams. And after explaining this Falashruti, Shukadev Goswami also says that the Supreme Lord, before he disappeared, along with the 4-armed Maharaj Indradyumna's soul in the Sarupya Mukti form, it is said the Supreme Lord gave a blessing. He told in front of all those who are assembled, the Supreme Lord said that whoever in the morning rises from their bed and concentrates their mind on this divine pastime of Gajendra Moksha and remembers this form of mine in which I saved Gajendra, who remembers this form of Gajendra, who remembers not just me and Gajendra, but this whole scene, this lake, these trees, this crocodile, these flowers, this whole setting, all these devatas who are gathered here, this ocean of milk, me, my transcendental form, and with all its various opulences, those who remembers all these varieties, they will be blessed with eternal residence in the spiritual world. If every day they do this, that's a special blessing. Whoever in the morning meditates on Gajendra Moksha every day morning after getting up, the Lord's blessing it, at the end of their life, they are guaranteed to get eternal residence in the spiritual world. After making this announcement, the Lord blew his Panchajanya conch shell. And all the devatas headed by Lord Brahma became very jubilant. Then he had gotten down from Garuda, right? To save Gajendra. And he got back on the Garuda. He asked Indradyumna Maharaj to sit along with him and took this liberated living entity back to the spiritual world. So in this way ends this very, very beautiful pastime. So both these curses indirectly turned out to be benedictions. So this is the very, very special blessing. Okay, I think we'll end here. There are a few more small points, but I think it's okay. Any questions? Any comments? Yes, Suraj Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Two questions, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, the repercussions of whatever we did in the last previous slides.
Hmm.
So the timing is set by God or it's by cyclic nature? Suppose I'm
Karmana daiva netrena. Karmana
okay.
daiva netrena. So it is executed by material nature, but under the guidance of the Lord. So material nature doesn't act independently. The execution will happen through material nature, but
Okay.
it happens. So what is the difference? Paramatma is in the heart of sinful people also. So in that way, in one sense, Paramatma is, also guiding and giving reactions to different living entities in various ways through the arrangement of material nature, through the devatas, through nature, through incidents. Ultimately, Paramatma is controlling everything, right, in everyone's heart. But for the ordinary living entity, the Lord is just adjusting things and giving reactions based on their account. He will generally not intervene. But those who have turned to the Lord is actively managing. So he
So
actively
managing is in both the cases, right? But more in terms of devotee.
No. In the first case is dispensing. Is dispensing karma.
Okay.
Once the living entity turns towards the Lord, and especially when he becomes a devotee, the Lord takes special charge. Then he goes into special category.
Okay.
Privileged category. So that privileged category has special concessions.
Okay.
So what the Lord does, basically the Lord says, Are, now he's trying to become devotee. The whole purpose of the Lord's giving karma is to eventually bring the living entity to the realization of the futility of material existence and make him shelter. So when a devotee actually actively makes an effort to take shelter, the Lord then just sees through his records what is needed for him, what is not needed. And the Lord says, this karma not needed. Anyway, this had this purpose, this lesson, but now the Lord will write off. So the Lord will do adjustments. Sometimes big karmas, the Lord will condense into a small karma and just give him a token reaction. Token. And that's why the devotee always thinks, Tatyenu kamam susumikshamano, Prabhupada says, no? The Lord is just giving me a token reaction. I thought I got a slap. Why did I get a slap, Lord? But actually you are supposed to be crushed in an accident. All you got was one slap. So be happy. The thing is, because the Lord doesn't come to us every time and give explanation, we don't know what is behind the scenes story. Correct? But we accept based on Shastra that there is a behind the scenes story and the Lord is giving us tokens.
Yeah.
In certain cases, the Lord goes to the extent, and this is Prabhupada has mentioned in the purpose, so this is not my concoction. Prabhupada says sometimes the Lord gives token reaction, not even physically. He just gives the token reaction in a dream. It's amazing, huh? Since you are asking about karma, you wanted to understand about karma. Sometimes the Lord just gives reaction in a dream. That you are supposed to experience something, but the Lord says, yeah, why to bring this calamity on him? I will just give him this bad dream where he will go through that circumstance in his dream for a few moments. Let him be scared. Let me just scare him and get rid of the karma. Done. Okay, Yamaraj, done. Happy? Settled? Matter? Okay. Case closed, file throw away. Done. I had an interesting experience like this once. That later I could understand that I was supposed to go through a very intense experience at a physical level. but the Lord just gave it to me in a dream. Because very interesting, I cannot go into details, but when that situation came, it was so acute, that situation, that suffering was so acute, that circumstance was so acute, that at that time I just called out so helplessly to the Lord. As soon as I called out helplessly, instantly that whole situation just evaporated, just like a fog. Whole thing just went away in a few moments. That whole karma. Because I was going through a situation and I feared that the situation may, the worst outcome of that situation I experienced in the dream. And the Lord just finished it there. It could have headed there and it would have been very disastrous for me. The Lord just wrapped it up in a dream and said, okay, ho gaya, chalo yaar, maaf kar diya, done. So, of course, some people may think, oh, Prabhu, just your imagination. Okay, I mean, you want to believe, you don't want to believe, up to you. I'm just sharing what I understand from my experience. Nobody can objectively prove these things. But the Lord gives us intelligence to understand. So these are not fictional things. These are not fictional. This is real. How the Lord minimizes the karma. And I have experienced this many times in many ways where the Lord somehow gives, has given that intelligence to just understand, that I saved you. I give you 99% discount. Carry on. No need to go through the full thing. So that is what I mean by managing, not just dispensing karma. So the Lord may give us more sometimes than what we deserve also. And that also I have experienced many times. Sometimes the Lord gives so much more than we deserve. And then sometimes to the extent that we will become embarrassed. I am not so, I don't deserve this treatment from you. So the Lord is the point is that the Lord is very affectionate to his devotees. Did the Lord really have to come, Gajendra? Do you think that really the Lord had to hold him and pull him out? The Lord, with his energies, he could have done. Correct?
Yeah.
But the Lord went out of his way to do that for his devotee. It was perhaps the arrangement of the Lord that no Devata came and intervened because the Lord wanted to show his favor to his dear devotee Indradumna, who had fallen into that situation, which was also an indirect plan of the Lord, because sometimes what seems like a calamity may turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So for us, we only have to have faith and that, the Lord is managing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Prabhuji,
I
the
gave a long
other
answer.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhuji, this in the Krishna Loka and Goloka Vrindavan and Vaikuntha. So, does this all rasas exist in both the places? I mean, the Madhurya and Vatsalya rasa. Does
No,
that? Yeah.
no. Vaikuntha has only Shanta and Dasya.
Shanta is just a devotee, right, Prabhu?
There are trees in Vaikuntha. There are mountains. Everything is Chinmay, right?
Okay.
Shanta Rasa. And there are devotees also in Shanta Rasa. Shanta means they are just from a distance offering prayers. No direct service. They're just appreciating the glories of the Lord. Shanta Rasa. Very few, like Jay and Vijay, have a direct service. Actually, not even a direct service. Being you can say service, but it is still a doorkeeper service. Not direct personal service. That Vaikuntha very difficult. That personal service, very, 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 very few associates have. Generally, Mother Lakshmi reserves the personal service to the Lord in Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
So she is the only Madhurya devotee.
Okay.
Of course, not even an ordinary devotee, the energy of the Lord. But in Vaikuntha, there is no Madhurya. There is no Sakhya. There is no friend. Oh, Narayanji, come, let us go for a walk. Let us play. Things like that. No father, mother in Vaikuntha. No girlfriends in Vaikuntha. So in higher realms, as we go higher and higher, the other rasas start coming in. is only Goloka, Vrindavan, which has all the rasas manifested in profuse quantity. Okay.
So, Prabhuji, Narada Muni is in which, he comes under which category?
Narada Muni. In terms of his activity as Narada Muni, he's in the Dasya Ras. He always acts in the capacity of the servant. But also he has been given the opportunity as a Naradiya Gopi to also serve the Lord in Madhurya Ras in some pastimes. So some devotees, they sometimes have multiple forms in multiple rasas. But
So,
as Narad Muni, he's in the mood, mainly in the mood of Dasya. But he's very conversant with, he is always meditating on Radha and Krishna's pastimes. But his actual service to the Lord is that of, is a servant mood, is a Dasya Seva
so
in
Prabhuji,
his
one last.
Narada form.
So Narada Muni has direct access, right? He's all directly visits, right? So with Golok also, yes, he can visit like that, or he has to take
Yes,
permission?
yes, he can visit Golok also.
Okay. Got it, Prabhuji.
He has full permission for full access anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Tarun Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question I have as we are talking about surrender and the samarpan in the class. So, how I can selfly realize that what is my samarpan level means it's I'm still there, not there, or what? How will I know? Means because this I hear every means. If I read in the books also, it is written that you have to be fully surrendered. How
So the
how will you
six
define
limbs of
fully?
surrender are given, right? Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam atma nikshepa karpanye goptrutve varnam tatha. So there are 6 limbs of surrender. It's a big topic. I'm not going to know. You can Google it up. There are 6 aspects of surrender. So if we see how we measure on these 6 metrics, we'll get some idea. Another way for us to judge how surrendered we are is also by understanding how much we measure on the metric that we discussed, Tattenukampam Susumikshama. When the Lord is throwing us into difficulties, how much are we able to see the difficulties as the Lord's mercy and take shelter of Him? That is actually a symptom of surrender. Most of us, even though we may not externally say as devotees, we will externally say, okay, whatever the Lord's wish in front of other devotees. But internally, there is that resistance. Why? And is there? I also have it. It's not that I am surrendered. We all have to different extents. Resistance. Those who are really purified. So like Indradunda Maharaj, he didn't protest. He accepted. Maharaj Parikshit didn't protest, just accepted and went on. So that consciousness is the actual consciousness of a Sharanagata devotee. So that's one simple way. When we are put into difficulties, serious difficulties, are we able to see Krishna's mercy and reciprocate with gratitude rather than complaint and resentment? That is a wonderful way to measure how developed we are in the consciousness of surrender. Okay? So the 6 limbs of surrender you can read.
Sure.
So I personally think I have a long way to go. But at least we know what the measurement is. So it's a good beginning. Other people don't even know that we are supposed to surrender. They don't even know what is surrender, or they have all totally wrong. Surrender is an activity of the heart. It is not simply about falling down and so many people can fall down and say so many things. So that's a nice gesture also. Actually, surrender is a state of consciousness. It's a consciousness of zero resistance and full cooperation with the plan of the Lord. Okay? Zero resistance, full cooperation.
Full cooperation.
That doesn't mean when, just to be clear, that doesn't mean that when life throws challenges at us, we just say, okay, life, please beat me up. This is not what I'm saying. We, at an external level, we still have to deal with situations and counteract and protect ourselves and deal whatever. But internally, we are always taking shelter. Internally, we are not resentful of the Lord. Internally, we are grateful and are taking shelter. You understand? Sometimes surrender is, is just thought that, oh, this thing is happening, it is will of the Lord. I am sick, this is the will of the Lord, I'll not take medicine. You'll die.
Yes.
You'll not
Prabhu,
go back
here
to
is the
God.
thing. One is action and one is surrender. Means this is where I basically get confused.
I
Sometimes
just explained. Action
yeah,
at an external level, you still have to do according to your duty.
yeah.
Okay, you still have to counteract all the challenges, deal with difficulties at a practical level according to the rules of dharma, according to your duties. But at an internal level, you have to maintain the consciousness of surrender, which means you understand this is all situations which is coming to help me purify. So we take it in that consciousness, are not resentful of the circumstance, are not resentful of the Lord, are not complaining, but with a grateful heart trying to take shelter of Krishna in that situation, even as we are struggling. See, Arjuna, when Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vrajaham Tuam Sarvapapibhyo, Krishna told to Arjuna, right?
Yes.
After that, did Arjuna give his bow and arrow to Krishna? Take, I surrender, I give you my bow and arrow, you go and fight, I sit here. I will watch. Was it like that?
No.
Mama anusmara yuddhacha manyarpita manobuddhir mame vaishyatya. Go and fight. Still have to fight. And fighting is not to fight with full passion. He had to fight with, whenever he was not fighting with full vigor, Krishna would chastise him. Arey, kya kar rahe ho? Then Bhishma and Drona are coming. I see you are not doing your best. What is this? Krishna would still, even after telling Bhagavad Gita, was chastising him. So the thing is, internally his consciousness had transformed. Externally, he was still fighting. You understand? So this is very important to understand. Surrender doesn't mean surrendering to the situation. It doesn't mean surrendering to the situation. It means surrendering to Krishna's will in the heart as Krishna's will unfolds, even as we do our best in life. You understand? So at a practical level, whatever we need to do, we have to do according to Dharma.
That's true.
I have to pray, Krishna, give me the intelligence to deal with this situation in the right way. Because we don't know also what is the right way to deal with it. And we take advice from devotees, from Guru, from Shastra, from sadhus. Then we try. Sometimes we still make mistakes, the wrong things. So Krishna sometimes allows us to make mistakes also, because that is also part of learning process. So Krishna is not going to come and whisper in your ear, "Oh, that he may do for fully liberated souls." That also not all he may do. He may not do, that's his will. But Krishna expects us to moment take shelter of him. If you understand what I mean. You understand? Every moment we have to exercise what I just described. Moment to moment. Without resenting, accepting things as they are, taking full responsibility for the situation that we are in, responding in a positive way, doing externally what is needed to deal with the situation, internally remaining peaceful, grateful, surrendered, and accepting the will of the Lord as it unfolds, even if that unfolding is not according to what we expect or want. Sometimes we think, Krishna, I responded to the situation so nicely, but still the outcome was like this. Why? I did so nicely, you should have given me full marks. And so we don't try to become Krishna's guru. Let Krishna do. He knows why he is doing what he is doing. So just, that's why I'm saying moment to moment to moment. It's not easy. This requires very high level of consciousness. And this is the surrender we are talking about. So we have to practice. We may be able to do it for a few moments in a day. That's a good beginning. Correct? 99 times in a day we fail to take shelter, we criticize Krishna or we complain. Once we may succeed. Oh, Krishna, I see this as your mercy. Good. One tick mark in a day. Maybe tomorrow it is 2. Gradually it becomes 4, 8. So that's how, moment to moment. Okay, does that help you to get
Yes,
clarity?
Yes. I'll try to practice.
Hari Bol, Jai Ho. Thank you, Sridhar Prabhu and family have come back from Char Dham Yatra. Hari Bol, Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
All glories to you. Please, I hope you prayed for all of us and
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Yeah.
spiritually inspired and enthused by touching the transcendental dhams and taking the blessings of Lord Hari, Lord Shiva, Ganga Devi, Yamuna Devi.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Jai Ho, Jai Ho. Very nice, very nice. Thank you. So we hope you recover well soon.
Yeah, recording.
Yeah. Okay, so before concluding, what I intend to do is, there are actually 2 options. For some time, Tuesday is actually becoming a bit difficult. I didn't want to stop, but somehow my work and then I'm just becomes very difficult. So rather than having inconsistency and go on disappointing you, I thought for some time what we will do is 2 options. Either we alternate CC and Bhagavatam, or we do both CC and Bhagavatam in the same class. Means either half an hour CC, half an hour Bhagavatam, or lengthen the class and say, Prabhu, we do 1.5 hours, we do 45 minutes Bhagavatam, 45 minutes CC in the same class. So what I'll do is, you think over it, you don't have to say, because sometimes, when I publicly will ask like this, then, you will not get time to reflect, and sometimes you have to give an answer just because you are asked publicly. So I'll put a poll, you think about it. I personally think half an hour maybe may not be the best idea, my personal opinion. Either we alternate or we lengthen the class and do 45 minutes. But then you must have the patience to listen to 1.5 hours. Of course, if you don't have 1.5 hours, if you have 45 minutes, then you have to choose which slot. I'm okay either way. I mean, anyway, my style is I don't force anybody for anything. You all have your free will. Exert. So think about it. You'll see then eventually we will normalize. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gajendra Moksha Pastime ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Prabhu.
Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Prabhu.
Shalini, Mataji, Surajji, Hare Krishna, Siniji, Hare Krishna. Tarun is very enthusiastic. Hari Hari. Thank you, Indulekha
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Anand Sundari Mataji, Amit, Priya. Ram is also here. Hari Bol, Sridhar Prabhu and family, Bhaskar.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all. Hari Hari.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.